what I'd like to offer you is something that I have worked with in my own practice and my own discovery every day. And I'm continually learning and growing and evolving with, and not an easy thing to teach or to talk about, honestly. So I think I've come up with a simple way to offer you an entry point for you. To begin with, if you don't already know the answer to this question, I would like you to ask yourself, within yourself, honestly and sincerely and truly, ask yourself, what is it that I really want? What is it that I really need? You may or may not know what that is, or it may have layers to it that as you enter each one of those go down to a deeper place of what's really underneath getting what you want or having your needs met. Like, what will that give you when you have what you want and what you need? What will that ultimately be for you? Whatever that is. Don't do a big mental trip about it. If you don't know, it's okay. Remember, relaxing into cluelessness. This is very helpful. It's not helpful to hear that when you're struggling, when you're having a hard time. That's not a useful teaching. It can sound like a irritating platitude. So when you're suffering and you're struggling, do the best you can and make do and take care of what you got to do and the way you got to do it. That's all. And then when you come back to yourself, which you're now, we're all now, you might say, allowing to happen. Ask yourself, what is it that I really, when you're in this less struggling place, what is it that I really want and need? Or even if you are in a struggling place, what do I want to be free of suffering. I want to be happy. I want to be at peace. I want my heart to open. I want to be able to give and receive love. I want my health to be stable. I want my financial situation to be secure. Whatever, I want my relationships to be healthy and happy. And I want a relationship, whatever it is. I want to let you know that it's very important to ask for what you want or need. You hear a lot about, no, you shouldn't pay attention to any of your relative story or conditioning. You just should be aware of awareness. And that's very much a part of the work that I'm doing here in the teaching that I'm offering, is to be aware of awareness, of course. That's the fundamental ground of our being. And yet, you and I both know that we're still human beings with the responsibilities and the challenges that face each and every one of us every day. So it's important that you honor your true self, of course, awareness of awareness, your no self. But it's also important that you honor your traumatized, conditioned, unconscious relative self and begin to see how awakening into consciousness, which is what this fundamental being together engenders, begins to evolve the human conditioned self and that evolutionary transformational process, which is true throughout all nature, is true throughout the entire universe. It's the same truth. Is that evolutionary movement is what we call the paradigm shifting. where one reality shifts into another reality, and then we have to adapt and survive. And we all know this with the pandemic, profoundly, intensely, some of us quite tragically and intensely. So, in whatever way that it has impacted us, it has impacted everyone, one way or another, without question. So, the work you're doing and the consciousness you're allowing to develop is moving through a difficult life or universe or world more possible. So it's important that you learn how to ask. Even if you want peace. And I ask for that every day. And freedom. Relative freedom. Not just personal, spiritual freedom. They're not separate. You know, when I said recently that every drop in the ocean is relevant, that's absolutely true. There is nothing that's not interconnected in this ecosystem, this infinite ecosystem of life. We may not understand it. We may not have beliefs about it, or we may have beliefs about whatever, but beliefs, really, they're just a function of survival ego. They're a way to make sense of the world on a relative level and get one's needs met. So they're all about being safe and secure, and they are very much all about identity that's separate from other things. That's what beliefs are. You don't get rid of them, you just move into a much bigger perspective that may or may not include them, or they may drop away because they're not needed anymore, they're useless, or they're actually in the way because they're harmful to yourself or others. But those breakthroughs are the paradigm shift of evolution that I'm talking about. Always. And it's always painful, and you always don't like it. In fact, it's okay. I just want to give you permission to really not like it and even hate it, and to vent about it, your anger, your frustration, your hopelessness, your grief, your sadness, your despair, whatever it is that comes up around it. So that energy doesn't get stuck or somaticized into your self, because you need to be a good boy or a good girl and be polite and accepted. This is your own inner work I'm talking about, your healing, clearing, health work, and your spiritual transformative work simultaneously, same thing. So ask. So when you're attuned, when you're in this alignment with your true nature and you're right here, and then that's when you ask. You ask for what you want and need into your spacious consciousness. In fact, you don't just ask, you offer it. May I be happy. You don't just say that as like some, thing you write down on your laundry list or your shopping list when you're going shopping for the groceries. Yeah, may I be happy. Oh no. No, this is from the depths of your soul, from the marrow of your bone, from the atoms that make up your molecules. It's your entire being that's asking into the consciousness of itself. That's what asking is. So, experiment with that. If you feel like it, play with it. It's very important that there's no ego in it. There's no me that wants something. There's no grabbing. There's no aversion. It's got to be free of self, the asking. Okay? So when you're in self, when you're caught in your relative self, that's not the time. That's the time to tune into your body, find out what's stuck, find out how to clear your emotional repressed, constipated energies. And there's all kinds of ways to do that, of course, therapeutically or consciously through consciousness work as well. Many, many, many ways. When clarity is clear and you are just simply here, you know what I'm talking about. When you're at peace, then listening deeply happens. And the wisdom of your nature can receive that offering. And then be a curious scientist like me, a fascinated curious scientist, and not believe anything, but see what happens. And when something happens, don't believe that something happened, because that's a problem. You get caught in, this is why in Zen they say, don't pay attention to signs. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be signs. Oh yeah, there are plenty of them. Just don't say, oh, well, I read in this that it meant that, blah, blah, now I'm blah, blah, blah. Here. Don't make conclusions. Conclusions are always your downfall. That's why disillusionment is an essential part of transformation. People often feel when they're having profound transformation that they have gone backwards and they're going to give up and it's not happening for them. It's never going to happen for them. And I'm with them and it's like their energy is so potent. I can practically, it's like I'm in bliss being with them and they don't know they're on the edge of a breakthrough. Yeah, you can't know that. Why? Because it's built like that. I don't know why. That's how it works. This is why the most important Zen teaching is to turn towards what's difficult with open-mindedness, with a beginner's mind, not with any agenda. Turn towards what's difficult. That's not easy. In fact, it's impossible to do it. It can only happen with effortless consciousness that you are cultivating.